Pensacola, Florida, in the home I was raised in. The downtown parlor room is where I was born.
Okay.
The big, I call it a 3-story house. It was a monster house. Big house.
You said you were in a house with like 18 people.
Oh yeah, the big house in Pensacola. Yeah, the big house. Yeah, those were aunts, uncles, and cousins and grandparents.
There must have been some characters in that bunch.
Not necessarily. They were all pretty grounded.
Oh yeah.
They were homebodied people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody worked hard. But nothing really special.
So you were named, what was your name, George?
George Robert Bowes Jr.
Your dad was named that too?
No, he was a senior.
Okay.
George Robert Bowes Sr. I guess.
Got me.
I reckon that's what it was.
So tell me a little bit about your parents.
Well, that's sort of difficult. Let's go with my dad. My dad was, I'm trying to think where they were when he was born, but he was born in, I can't remember. I know it was in, I'd have to try to go back and see.
What was he like?
Pardon?
What was he like?
What was he like?
Yeah.
He was a short guy, tough guy. He knew how to box and fight.
Oh.
When he was in the Navy, he was a boxer. Used to box a lot. He enjoyed that. He enjoyed jumping out of airplanes off the wing and floating down in a parachute. That was his enjoyment.
Yeah.
Oh, he and his brothers, and they all were parachute jumpers. I'm the only one with a little sense that doesn't jump. But I think my dad was born, I want to say Florence, Alabama, but I can't quite remember.
And what was his parenting style like?
Parenting style?
Yeah. Was he a tough guy for a father?
Yeah, he was. He was a tough guy. He liked to. He did, when he was in the Navy, he did a lot of boxing, a lot of good drinking. He was good at drinking. That's, and liked to chase women.
Yeah. Okay, tell us a little bit about your mom.
Huh? My mom? Oh, my mom was born and raised in Pensacola in the big house that I grew up in on 12th and Gadsden Street. Would never leave home. She was the kind of person that would born and raised and stayed there in that old house till she died. No, she did move out of the house. Dad and Mom bought a house in Pensacola, across town, a little 2-bedroom house, and that's where they lived till both of them passed away. And that's between Pensacola on 12th and Gadsden and the house over on Mallory Street, I think it was, where they lived most of the time. I think earlier, before I was born, they had moved around in Pensacola a few places. Dad was on the police force at one time, and I remember seeing a car that looked like Swiss cheese where they were chasing some bandits and they were shooting at each other. And my dad got a bullet in his leg
Wow.
when they were chasing some bandits. He was on a police force, or a detective on a police force in his younger day.
What was your mom like?
Mom was took care of the house and raised me. That was her full-time job.
Yeah.
She didn't go out and work outside the house till Dad was dead, and she had to go out and find a job. She worked at a movie theater. That was the only job that I remember except being a housewife.
Mm-hmm.
And raising me. My mother really raised me, and my Uncle Herman raised me like a father.
Other than raising you, did your mom like to go out? Did she like to dance? Did she like to go to movies? What?
Oh, well, yeah. Mom worked with a group called the Belles and Beaux, where it was a bunch of women that would sing and do shows called the Belles and the Beaux. I remember that now, Belle and Beaux. Not B-O-S-E, but the bow, like a bow tie.
Cool.
Yeah, she enjoyed that. That was her fun thing to do. Sort of like Uncle Herman, you know, they both sang and danced together. Put on performances, you know, for the old people. Old folks putting on old folks stuff. They loved that. That was a lot of fun in their life. That's what they lived for. But as far as working, Mom when Daddy passed away, then she had to get a job. She worked at a movie theater. It wasn't much to the job, but it helped pay the bills.
How old were you when your father passed away?
How old was I?
Uh-huh. Do you remember? I mean, were you
Yeah.
were you grown?
It's probably in my 30s.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Probably in my late 20s, early 30s.
Okay.
Yeah, Daddy smoked too much and drank too much, and he died of cancer, lung cancer from smoking. My mom quit smoking. She did smoke, but then she stopped, but then she died of ovarian cancer. Well, she passed away from
How old was she when she died? Do you know?
Hmm.
And was she in her 60s?
She had to be in her
70s?
60s, early 70s,
Okay.
mostly between 60 and early 70s, I'd say. Yeah, that's so long ago, it's hard for me to remember the dates.
What did I think we talked about this before, but what did your dad do for a living while you were growing up?
Well, basically he worked in radio, worked for a radio station, doing advertisements and announcing. Off and on he was with radio stations.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, when I got out of college, it was hard finding a job. I worked with my dad with a radio station.
Mm-hmm.
He would do advertising and ads and things of that nature on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
Write script, announce, and that was. And he was in sales a lot. Dry goods sales.
Yeah.
That's about what, and then he worked at one of his jobs that he worked quite long time at was, they had dog races back in those days where they raced greyhounds.
Mm-hmm.
And he worked at the greyhound track at night for quite a few years, I'd say 10 or 15 years.
What did he do?
Announcing.
Oh, oh.
Yeah, announcing the dogs and the races and stuff of that nature. That was a nighttime job that he had.
Hmm.
my dad worked several jobs at the Florida Pulp and Paper Company that were owned by my daddy's bosses. They were a very wealthy family, and they were brothers, about 4 or 5 brothers, and they owned the Florida Pulp and Paper Company, which was quite a big business, making paper.
Mm-hmm.
And
Sure.
then they had yachts, and my daddy worked. My dad was very good with yachts, boats.
Oh,
Good
really?
seamanship. Since when he was in the Navy, he learned a lot about seamanship. So he took care of the yachts for
Okay.
him. We didn't own any of them, but he ran the boats.
Did he
Good
ever,
skipper.
did he ever take you out sailing?
Yeah. Well, we didn't sail so much as they were motor boats.
Mm-hmm.
They had one sailboat that one of the brothers, there were 4 or 5 brothers that were very wealthy and well-to-do, that Daddy worked for that group. And they had boats. One of them had a sailboat. My dad used to sail it to, every year he would be a skipper on that one sailboat, and they would sail from Pensacola down to Cuba. So racing,
Racing?
yeah.
Oh.
But
Wow.
he was a good sailor. My dad was very into boating and sailing.
Yeah. Did you have a close friend when you were young, like a teenager?
Oh, me? Oh, yeah, my musical buddies.
Your musical?
Yeah, back in junior high, I really was into music a lot, and so most of my friends were musicians. So I did a lot of music back in those days, playing with different bands, and having a good time.
Yeah.
Make money doing it.
Hey, that's the way to go.
That's about what I was doing then. I'm trying to think. But mostly all my life was spent playing in bands and enjoying life, having a good time.
Mm-hmm. So,
You and Aline were pretty close too, right?
Aline,
Mm-hmm.
oh yeah. We were like sister and brother. Yeah, that was, yeah.
you remember any special teacher that you had?
I would say in junior high we had a band director by the name of Vernon Hooker. He was a school teacher that taught music, and he was sort of a mentor for music for me. And we did a lot of music together. So he was, in fact, till he died, he had moved away from Pensacola to San Antonio. Forgot why he did that move, but anyway, I still followed Vernon until he died. He was a mentor.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Taught me music back when I was in junior high, and like a friend more than a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Good friend. So most of my friends back in those days, of course, were musicians. That's the way I made my living and enjoyed it. Okay, I was going to say that Uncle Herman was more of a father. My dad was too busy drinking and running around.
Oh.
So my Uncle Herman, who lived at the big old house, was my mentor, more so than my dad. And I grew up with him. and he liked to do minstrel shows for the Shriner bunch. And they put on a lot of shows, and they even used me. I remember trying to think who was, but anyway, when I was a little babe, I was about 5 or 6 years old, they blacked my face and I did a soft shoe dance with Uncle Herman. We did a soft shoe to me and my shadow, and I was the shadow.
But that was fun.
Well, what I really remember was trying to get that black shoe polish off my face. That hurt. Back in those days, you could do that.
Where did you perform?
Where? We'd perform at the Shriner parties and things of that nature. There was a theater called the Sanger Theater, which was the #1 theater in Pensacola. And they had a big stage there, and they used to do musicals there. The Shriners would put it on. And my uncle was very influential of doing soft shoe dance, and he really wasn't a vocalist, but he did, I'm trying to think, a lot of minstrel stuff. Back then you could do minstrel things. He loved toys, and when I was a little kid, he'd always buy me toys for Christmas and what have you. So he was like my father.
What were some of your favorite toys?
That does go way back. I guess a fire truck. He bought me a little fire truck, and that was one of my, probably the favorite that I had.
Mm-hmm.
But he was always good. He worked as a draftsman out at the Naval Air Station almost all his whole life. And he lived to be, Uncle Herman finally moved in after my father passed away. Herman needed to get out of that big old house that he was living in and came live with my mother. We had a little small house in Pensacola, and when Dad died, my uncle moved in with my mother and lived there. So he fell and broke a hip, and then he died. He was in his 90s when he passed away, but he died of a broken hip. Back then in those days, those hips would kill you. So that's when I lost him.
Well, what was the person that was listed in the jazz history?
Well, the jazz was my uncle, Sterling.
Sterling. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, he was the jazz cornetist who liked to drink a little bit, too much. But he was the real noted jazz trumpet cornetist. Back in those days, you had cornet and trumpet, but not too much difference. So, but that's what he did.
He had a band that he played with?
Oh yeah, he played with local bands. But then my Sterling was he moved up to Chicago and played in Chicago most of his life. But he was a very noted big band cornetist, jazz player.
Did he teach you some jazz?
Yeah, we used to play a little bit together. I was very fortunate that I was able to share some of his talent.
Did you play duets?
Yeah, we played some duets together. Sterling ended up though, but Sterling had some kind of a disease that got into his brain, and he killed himself, committed suicide. Wow. Which was pretty much of a tragedy to all of us.
Yeah.
But it was some kind of a thing with your brain, I don't recall, but it caused him, it was something in his head was making noise, and I don't know what they call it back then, but it caused him to commit suicide.
Wow.
So that's when I lost him. But he and I was very fortunate to get to known him, not real well because he lived in a different he lived in St. Petersburg, Florida.
Oh.
And I lived in Pensacola.
Okay.
But I was fortunate enough to be around him enough to absorb some of the trumpet skills.
So what was your first job? Did you have a job in high school?
Yeah, soda jerk. I was 11 years old and I went to work at a pharmacy making ice cream sodas and sandwiches and ice cream sodas, things of that nature. I was 11 years old when I got my first job.
What was your next job?
My next job, I was an office boy. Worked for a surveying outfit. And my job was to make a blue line and basically doing office work and making, back in those days you used what they call blue line print with, I can't remember the name of the stuff, but you had to make copies of surveying of land and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one of the jobs that I had.
Was that in high school?
Yeah, back in high school.
Mm-hmm.
I always worked.
Yeah.
I was always working.
What did you make?
What
Would you make an hour?
What I can only tell you when I went to work at the pharmacy, I think I was making a quarter an hour, 25 cents an hour. Wasn't much money back in those days.
It'd get you to a movie though, wouldn't it?
Huh?
You could get into a movie theater with a quarter.
Yeah, just about, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think 15 cents. I remember one movie theater was 15 cents to get into.
Mm.
A local theater out in your neighbor. Out in those days, you had a neighborhood theater too. Whereas, and then you had the big theaters in town, what you call downtown.
Mm-hmm. So what are some of the movies you remember? Were you a big Western fan?
Yeah, but I can't think of the guy's name now. But there were Western, that was the main thing. That and what else? You had God, I can't think of the name of what it would be. Oh, they had cereals on weekends, a cereal that they would get you to come back the following weekend to go see. But you only paid about 10 cents to go into the movie back then too.
Mm-hmm.
Very inexpensive, but expensive.
You mentioned you had had a worm garden.
Yeah.
Did you go fishing a lot?
Yeah, I used to. When I was younger, yeah, in the summertime, I would go down and go fishing. That would be all I did with that. I didn't really do much hunting.
Mm-hmm.
I did mostly fishing.
What did you catch?
Mullet.
Mm-hmm.
My dad took care of some wealthy people's yachts. And I used to go out on the yacht and catch grouper and snapper.
Mm-hmm.
Nice sized fish, bring them home.
Would Grandma cook them?
Yep.
What were some of the best things that she cooked? Have I asked you that?
Oh. Mostly German. Sauerkraut, dumplings. Back in those days, dumplings was a big German. Being of German descent, most of us.
Yeah.
You had dumplings. sauerkraut, stuff of that nature.
Bread pudding?
Huh?
Bread pudding?
Yeah, yeah. I know we had it. I didn't care for bread pudding.
I'll bet they made good pies.
Oh yeah,
Or she made good pies.
yeah. Back in those days, that was a more pies than cakes. You didn't make a lot of cakes back in those days,
Right.
unless it was a birthday or something like that. And somebody would have a cake.
So with a family that big, were there like 3 women cooking in the kitchen at the same time?
No.
Oh.
Grandma cooked
Oh.
back in those days. Grandma did everything. And then you'd have somebody that would be hired. Usually it'd be an old German lady that would wash clothes and clean you, get the clothes done outside in a cauldron. Big, remember those
Yeah.
cauldrons?
Wow.
You don't see those anymore, do you?
No.
I've got one at my house, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
They put-
old cauldron. It weighs about 100 pounds, I think.
They put lye soap in there? Lye soap?
Well, they boiled in it. You'd boil your clothes back then. That's how they'd get clean, is boiling.
Yeah.
You don't hear of that anymore, do
No,
you?
no, we don't do that.
No washing machines back in those days.
Yeah.
How about refrigerator? Did you have an ice box and a
Yeah, ice box.
man would
Yeah,
come
back
with
in
the
those
tongs?
days. Yeah, the Iceman would come a couple of times a week. I'm trying to think whether it was twice a week or 3 times a week. But drop off ice in the ice box. Ice box, which is now a refrigerator.
But you always had indoor plumbing.
Yeah, we did have indoor plumbing.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, we were high. That's high cotton there. If you want to call it that. Having your own plumbing. But the Iceman would come and drop off ice about 3 times a week. Ice a box.
Ice the box.
And where would you sleep in the summertime when it was hot?
Oh yeah, in the summertime we had a big porch up on the 2nd floor. And I used to hang a hammock between the stanchions and sleep in a hammock looking two stories down. Well, it was the 2nd story of the house.
Yeah.
But I used to sleep in a hammock out there in the summer.
Oh, but it was nice.
It was, except for mosquitoes.
Uh-huh.
We had a lot of mosquitoes, and that would buzz you to sleep. But I slept in an old Navy hammock. Slept good too. But mosquitoes were bad back in those days.
Yeah.
Back in those days, you didn't have all the new bugs stuff that kills them.
Yeah. Yeah.
You used it was a Petro. It stunk and it wasn't healthy either. But we used a mosquito gun that you'd pump up and
Oh.
it would atomize the mosquito stuff, which was not good for your lungs.
Yeah.
Bad stuff.
It's probably DDT.
I don't think they knew what DDT was back in those days. That was before DDT, but it was chemical, petrochemical
Mm-hmm.
mixture, whatever it was.
Mm.
We just called it bug spray is all we called it.
I was wondering what kind of a youngster, teenager you would think of yourself as being. Were you
Smart ass. That's what I were.
a smart ass at an early age, huh?
And he's never given it up.
Never stopped.
How old were you when you first got interested in playing music?
Playing
and the
music. I was
trumpet?
in junior high school. I was in what they call junior high school. Not in high school. You used to go to 7th, 8th, and 9th. Then from 9th you'd go to high school, I think. I was at junior high when I first started taking. That's when I met San Diego Colacata, my trumpet teacher.
I love it.
That's a great name.
Yeah, San Diego Colacata. He was a Navy musician who got me interested in music. Since I was in the band, I led the,
Yeah,
I did a lot of like leadership work.
yeah,
When you're a musician, you get involved in that.
yeah.
So yeah.
How big was the band?
Oh, maybe about 50 people
Okay.
total.
And it was a marching band?
Yeah, marching and concert. You
So-
did both.
So did you march at football games and things like that?
Yes, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Marching parades, as usual.
yeah.
Behind the horses, as usual. Mushy gushy.
Huh. Tell us a little bit about your courtship.
Courtship.
Yeah, with the trumpet girl.
Oh. Not a whole lot to tell except we got married.
Just like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
How long did you and Barbara date before you got married?
I'm trying to think how long that was.
What year were you in high school when she came to
We were
take
in
trumpet lessons?
junior high together. We knew each other in junior high. And we played in the band together. Yeah, she played trumpet. I played trumpet. So we were in the band together. And that's how we met. My parents sent her to take trumpet lessons. Got me in trouble.
So did she play piano at the time that she came to take trumpet lessons?
Yeah, she studied piano with a piano teacher. Yeah, she played. But it wasn't jazz, it wasn't musical. It was more classical stuff that she took. And then I gave her some trumpet lessons.
What interested you in her that you would want to date her? What did you like about Barbara? Uh-oh.
Good kisser. We just had a lot of fun. Go to movies. Back in those days, you go to a movie as a day. And then maybe go get a milkshake or something like that at a soda fountain.
Did you have a car?
I used my daddy's car.
And what was it?
What was it? Oh, Lord. I don't remember what. My dad had several cars that he used. He'd always wreck them. So I never wrecked a car.
What was your first car?
I learned to drive a car which was called a Whippet. I don't remember, well, Whippet was the name of the brand back in that day. An old puddle jumper. You had to crank it with a hand crank to start it. And you had pedals that you had to move. I forgot how that worked. But a car was a lot different back in those days. You had to hand crank them. You didn't have automatic starters on the car.
Well, how old were you?
Probably about 13 or 14 years old.
Oh.
I didn't buy a car. Whew. I was already in the Navy, and we lived in California when we bought our first automobile.
Oh.
That was back in the. We'd been married several years. When we were in Pensacola, I'd either use my daddy's car or her daddy's car. We
Okay.
didn't have a car back
Oh.
then.
So your dad's car was a Whippet.
Yeah.
Okay. So you dated all through high school,
Uh-huh.
and did you get married after high school? Right after high school?
Yeah. Yeah. I
Tell-
was in the Navy.
But-
I joined the Navy.
But you got married before you went in the Navy, didn't you?
Uh-uh.
Oh.
I was
okay.
already in the Navy.
All right. Okay. So you joined the Navy right out of high school?
Uh-huh.
Okay. And then what year was that?
I don't know. No idea what year that would be.
Let's see, you've been married now for
100 years.
67 years. It'll be 67 years, I
68
think.
years.
You doing the math?
Yes, I am.
But when we lived in Washington, D.C., we didn't,
1952.
when we were married and we lived up in Washington, D.C., we didn't have a car. We took public transportation to everything. We didn't get a first car till I came back off. I was in Korea back. We didn't get our first car till we went to California. That's when we bought a car.
Wow. Were you married maybe in
But we didn't.
1952? Were you married maybe in 1952? Does that sound familiar?
I don't know. It doesn't.
Yeah.
I don't remember that. Calvary Methodist Church. See, I remember.
You do.
Calvary Methodist Church.
Did you go on a honeymoon?
No, no honeymoon. Didn't have any money to honeymoon. No car, no money. Oh, we didn't get our first car till I came back off of sea duty in California.
Now, what did she do in Washington, D.C.?
She worked at the Pentagon. She was a secretary at the Pentagon for an admiral. Yeah, she worked for an admiral in Washington at the Pentagon. And then when we were in California, when I moved out there, then when she came out, she went to work for Firestone Missiles.
Were you still in the
She was
Navy?
Huh?
Were you still in
Yeah,
the
I was
Navy?
at sea most of the time. But she moved out there to be close to me. Then she went to work for Firestone Missiles. Had a great boss. Great boss.
Her boss?
She was always a secretary. Usually an executive secretary, not just plain secretary, but an executive secretary. Barbara's smart.
Did you keep in touch writing letters, love letters?
Huh?
Did you write love letters when you were in the...
Oh, absolutely. The paper would be on fire.
Would you like to read a few of them for us?
Nope. I don't even know where they are. I couldn't. I have no idea where any of that stuff is. We've moved so much since then. You lose track of what you got and don't have.
Yeah.
We were married in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
And entertainment, there wasn't much. We didn't have a lot of money to do. We worked. Barbara worked at the Pentagon as a secretary for a Navy captain or an admiral out at the Pentagon, so she always worked. And then I worked, I was in the Navy at that time.
Mm-hmm.
I was a Navy musician at the Navy School of Music in Anacostia, which is in Washington, D.C. That's what I was doing then.
Mm-hmm. Did you go to dances a lot?
Well, for pleasure,
Yes. Yeah.
it seemed to me that, well, we would go out and listen to music is what we'd really do. We weren't much at dancing or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
But we'd go listen to music. That was our thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then I played music,
Mm-hmm.
bands.
Well, you've been wanting to go into the Navy here for a while, so let's talk a little bit about your Navy experience.
Now, you were in the Navy for about 5 years, right? I think that's what's on your discharge papers.
Is that what it's?
Yeah. It seems longer for you, I think.
Not 15.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't remember that.
You did a lot in the Navy. It probably seemed longer.
Well, I was at sea the whole time I was in the Navy, though.
Mm-hmm.
I was in Korea during the Korean War.
And tell me about that. What was that experience like?
Getting shot at. Like, glad I'm here.
You were on the ship and they were...
Yeah, there were shore batteries that would shoot at us out in Korea.
Mm.
Yeah, we would be sitting offshore with, I was on cruisers. We had 5-inch guns and some, I think there were 9-inch guns, big guns that we used to shoot. We'd stay right off the shore of Korea and go into Wonsan Harbor, which is a big bay in Wonsan when we were fighting Korea. And we could shoot at the, they had their gun mounted in the mountains around the bay. Then when we'd go into the bay, Wonsan Bay and all that, the shore batteries would shoot at us. And once in a while hit us.
Did they hit your ship?
Oh yeah, we lost about 50 people were killed on my boat.
Oh.
Yeah.
Where were you?
Ducking. Getting out of the way.
What was your duty on ship?
My duty? I don't know how to explain that. I was on an admiral's staff. I'm trying to think, how did I get on the admiral's staff? I don't remember. But anyway, I was on an admiral's staff, and he was in charge of the cruiser divisions. He had 3 ships that he was in charge of. And we'd go in and get shot at and shoot right back. And we lost some guys that were killed. I don't remember how many now, but I know it was in the about 30 or 40. Some guys got killed on my ship.
Any of your friends?
Huh?
Any of your friends?
Oh yeah,
Oh.
some of them.
Oh.
Yeah, but that was what you expect.
Oh.
You know, it's one of the things you do when you need to do it.
So this was a battleship?
Cruisers. It's smaller than a battleship. Battleship has 12-inch, 16-inch guns. Cruiser has 9-inch to about 9-inch guns to maybe a 12-inch big guns on them.
Okay. You weren't transporting troops, were you?
No, we didn't transport troops.
Okay.
We were a fighting ship.
Okay.
We were a fighting ship.
Sure.
We went in and did business
Mm-hmm.
with guns.
Wow.
No, it wasn't transporting.
So you were in the Navy for 5 years. Was the war? How long did the war last? Did it?
I know we were at sea when they came over. When they came over with the telegraph to us to cease fire, and I can't remember what year that was, but it was during Korea that we stopped fighting in Korea.
Mm-hmm. Warship was pretty cramped, huh?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, if you take that refrigerator right there, that's larger than what I'd have for all my clothes and my shaving and all my stuff. When you go on a warship, uh, you don't have much of anything. It's a different world.
Did you
Not like a cruise ship. Have you been on a cruise ship?
Yes.
Yeah, then you know what I'm talking about. You got all the luxuries and goodies and all that stuff. When you're on a warship, you don't have any of that. You're lucky to get a shower.
Did you have a bunkmate? Yeah.
No, well, yeah, you did. Well, they weren't bunkmates, but you slept on top of each other. Turn over, you hit the guy above you. Yeah, because it's just canvas with a mattress about that thick on a canvas thing, enough to hold the body like this. You turn over and you hit the guy above you, stacked about 3 high, 4 high. Being on warships is not a pleasure cruise. Yeah, I've been trying to think how long. I guess I was out at sea on warships for about 10 years. I did a long time of being on warships. And that's not pleasure cruises. One day we heard this thing hitting the hull of the ship, making noise. We went up on deck and there was a whale making love to the ship, trying to pound the ship. Big old whale hitting that ship. That's what the noise was. It was after our ship. Oh, that was so funny. And the Marines would go up on these ships when we were in Wonsan Harbor and those areas doing Korea. And they'd take practice shots at the explosive buoys out, hoping the ship would hit one, blow it up, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That was exciting. Pretty exciting. Yeah, different world back then.
How did the war affect you? Did it change you?
The war?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
It's just something you have to go do, and you go do it and keep on going. You know, it doesn't, I don't know if it changed me. Mm-hmm. Except one thing is that I know war is terrible. War is bad. It's evil.
Mm-hmm.
And wish we could do without it.
Yeah.
That's the number one thing, get rid of war.
Mm-hmm.
War is bad, it's evil. It hurts a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Something I'd like to see us do without. That'll never happen.
How about your relationship with Barbara's parents? Did you have a good relationship with Barbara's mom and
absolutely.
dad?
I always looked at them as my parents. They were like my parents. No, we had a great relationship with them.
What were they like? What was her mom like?
Well, she was a real little lady, real small, dainty, and she was a hard worker. I mean, you know, she'd get back in that kitchen and cook, do the dishes, clean it up. She was a hard worker. And she was so little, she was dainty.
I heard she was real sweet.
Oh. Good lady. Always doing something for somebody else. She was a marvelous lady. But she was so dainty. Did you know that? I mean, she was a very small woman. Fragile. But she could cook and she did the dishes. I mean, you know, Fed the cats. She loved her cats. Always, and feed the birds. She'd go out and put food out for the birds every day. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, as far as I was concerned, Barbara's family was my parents.
Nice,
Yeah,
nice.
good rapport.
What did her dad do?
Drink and chase women.
Not your dad, her dad.
Oh, her dad. No, he'd never do that. No,
I
he
know
was-
that. Okay.
No, he was straight-laced worker.
Mhm.
He was just an old farm boy that came off the farm and got into the military as an Airedale mechanic. Very smart man. He worked. He was a hard worker. Very much worker. No, he was a good person.
Good.
Like I said, her parents were just like my parents.
Nice,
I was
nice.
very lucky to have them.
How about her brother,
Oh,
Ray Robert?
Ray was like a brother. He and I were like two brothers. Yeah, we were roommates at college. When we went to Auburn. I needed a place to stay, and he was a fraternity brother for a fraternity called Phi Kappa. And I lived there with him at the fraternity house. They took me in as one of the, because I had no money to join, but they took me in, and I stayed with him. Yeah, so yeah, we went to Auburn, and we were roommates. Oh, Ray Robert and I were very close. We liked to go out and drink our beer, eat pig feet. You ever eat pig feet? Oh man, next time you come south, get you some pig feet.
That's a funny thing for now you're a vegetarian.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't eat pig feet now. Oh. Ray Robert and I had a lot of good times together. Yeah, he was a pilot in the
Yeah.
Navy. Yeah, he flew P-2Vs, big airplanes. He's a good pilot, excellent. Because he grew up with his daddy teaching him aircraft mechanics. So he knew more about an airplane than most of the people that would work on. He could hear an engine and tell you whether it's a good engine or a bad engine, or is there something going to go wrong with that engine. Oh, Ray Robert was sharp. He had just gotten through part of his pilot's training in the Navy when he was given an airplane to fly with a crew. And something happened. They were having trouble finding their way. And this was down in the Bahamas, in that area. And Ray Robert got a sextant out. Nobody else knew how to run a sextant, which is a thing that you triangulate with the stars and find out where you are. And he was the only one. They were lost, and he found them. And when you're on an airplane and you're lost, you can die real easy. And Ray had all that back then.
When did you go to Japan? Do you still remember?
Oh yeah, we were in I was in Japan, Yokosuka, Sasebo, Japan, Toyama, Yokosuka, Toyama. I was in about 5 different Japanese ports on ships at the time.
Do you still remember some Japanese?
Huh?
Do you still remember some Japanese?
Do I remember? Yeah, arigato. Doitashimate.
What
Of
does that
course.
mean?
Arigato means thank you, to which I should answer, you're welcome. I remember a lot of Japanese, I spoke it very fluently.
So what did you do in Japan?
What did I do?
Yeah.
I
Your ship.
took a lot of pictures.
Yeah.
I had a nice camera and I'd go ashore and take pictures. Did a lot of photography work when I was go ashore.
In life. Okay, got married in the Navy. Then you went out on ship to Korea. Then you came back to the States and you guys moved from Washington to California.
California. She
Where in
moved-
California? LA?
Long Beach.
Long Beach.
Yeah.
Okay, and how long were you in the Navy still when you guys were in Long Beach? When did you get out of the Navy? Approximately. I mean, was...
I'm just trying to think. That's fuzzy.
Okay.
That's fuzzy.
So then when you got out of
Because
the
they moved back, I moved back. We bought a car out because she was working, had the money, and not my little money with the Navy wasn't much. We bought a car, and then we moved back to Florida from there when I got transferred to Pensacola in the Navy. So I did my last shore duty in Pensacola, then that's when I started going to college. I went to Pensacola College and then transferred up to Auburn, Alabama. That's when we moved up to Auburn. Why did I choose Auburn? Because I had some real good musician friends that we formed a band, a small group, and that's why I went there. We made more money, and I needed to make money to go to college. Although I had the GI Bill to go. A lot of it was paid for by being ex-service. So that's why I went to Auburn. There were some real good musician friends of mine there.
What did you study there?
I studied industrial engineering
Put your mic up.
and got a degree in industrial engineering,
Okay. Cool.
whatever that's worth.
Well, it must have been worth something. Didn't you get a job doing something like that?
Huh?
Didn't you get a job doing something like that?
Eventually, yeah. When I first got out of Auburn, it was hard to find a job. The economic situation wasn't very good. So I went to work for a radio station in advertising. So I worked at that for a couple of years till I got on, let's see, when I worked at the radio station, then I went to work, I got a job with the state of Florida, that's what it was, in human resources, doing with the state of Florida, making a decent salary and employment in the Florida State Employment Service. That's why. Then when I was doing that, I could also work as a musician at night. So I had the state job working with the state of Florida in human resources, and then at night I was a musician. I had connections there that I had almost a full-time music job too.
And where did you play there? Where did you play?
Oh, I played mostly private parties, country club and yacht club, stuff like that. I didn't work any nightclubs. I was working basically country clubs and things like that.
Okay. What kind of music were you playing then?
Dance music, society stuff, the yacht club and country clubs, formal bunch, you know, pretty formal.
Did you
And I
have,
did work private parties too. Private parties paid a lot better, you know, weddings and bar mitzvahs and things of that nature.
did you dress in a tux?
Oh yeah. Yep, not all the time, but for formal weddings and what have you.
Did you have a name for your band?
Discovery.
No.
We called it Discovery.
Cool.
Yeah, it wasn't mine. It was our band. I was just a member of it. We all pooled ourselves together, and whatever money we made, we split it.
Hmm.
And it was livable. It's a livable wage. And also, I worked for the state of Florida while I was doing that, in the human resource bunch.
Okay.
Area, human resource area.
Where did you live?
Back then I lived in Winter Haven, Florida. That's a place close to Cypress Gardens, if you've ever heard of it.
Mhm. I've been there.
Yeah. Good tourist attraction.
Describe your house.
Pardon?
What was your house like?
My house? Well, we built a house there in Winter Haven. And it was a 2-bedroom at the time, 2-bedroom, living room, family room, kitchen, you know, normal. But it was a 2-bedroom house. And it was in Orange Grove. So we had orange and satsuma trees in our backyard that I could sell off
Oh.
during the season. Made extra money that way.
Oh.
So did quite well.
Cool.
Made a living.
What was Barbara doing during this time?
She worked for a private investigator.
Whoa.
Yeah, she worked for a private investigator. That's what she did.
What did she do for him?
And she even, in fact, she was doing some sewing of formal wear for women. She did that too. So we all worked.
How long did you live there?
Oh gosh, we were in Winter Haven probably about 10 years. Approximately 10 years we lived there.
Yeah.
Then, let's see, where did I go after Winter Haven? Trying to think where I went. I can't remember that right offhand.
Did you go to Titusville then, or was that later on?
I'm trying to think. I think what I did, I went into the space business. I got a job over at Kennedy Space Center. That's when I got into aerospace.
Was that with Grumman? Because did
Well, I went to work for, wasn't Grumman at the time. It was trying to think what company I did go. It was aerospace, because we had a contract. It was, gosh, I can't remember the name of the company. RCA, that's what it was, RCA Government Services. Because we were putting the logo on the backs of the animals. RCA logo. That's when I got into aerospace.
Wait a minute, the backs of the animals?
Huh?
What do you mean the backs of the animals?
We had, what do you call them? They're little animals that run around that have like a shell on their back. and I can't think of the name of the animal.
Armadillos?
Huh?
Armadillos?
Armadillos, yeah. We used to put RCA stickers on the shell. The armadillo had a shell.
You guys were being mischievous, right?
Oh, having fun.
Oh, yeah.
I thought this was a major branding push.
I did too. But now I remember we talked about that because we also talked about the armadillos in Texas, where if you have roadkill, you sit it up and you put a Shiner Bock beer in its hand.
Yeah. Right. That's when I got basically into aerospace at Kennedy Space Center then.
Yeah.
And I'm working for RCA Government Services, who I worked for.
Did you do any industrial design in that there?
Did I do what?
Industrial design?
No, I didn't do any industrial. We did communications. It's a communication group working with the communications of all the sites.
Mm-hmm.
And that was with RCA Government Services back then. It was a contract to NASA.
What years are we talking about?
Ooh, Lordy. I don't remember the years. I can't remember that far back. It's been many years ago though. Many years ago. Over 50 years ago.
Well, the space program was pretty young then.
Yeah, somewhat, yeah. That's when we had the Saturn V out there on the pad. The big rockets.
So that's 1969.
Yeah.
Is that when the moonshot?
Von Braun was there at the time too. The father of rocketry.
Yeah.
Worked there at the same time I did. We used to talk to him once in a while.
Really?
We'd see him out there on the pad. The grandfather of rockets.
Yeah.
Genius. A genius.
So where were you when they did the moonshot?
Oh, boy, that was... Moonshot's much longer. It was... That was more recent then. I can't...
I think, wasn't it in 69
69 was when they landed on the
when
moon.
they landed on the moon?
Well, that's about when... I'm trying to think.
Were you there when John Glenn went up?
Glenn went up. I had just started working before that time when Glenn went up. That was much earlier.
Were you guys living in Titusville? Where
Yeah,
were you living?
yeah.
In Titusville?
Yeah, it was Titusville back then. Yeah, that's where we started in aerospace with RCA Government Services. It was a company.
And then who did you work for after RCA?
What was the last?
Where did you work for after?
After
after.
RCA.
Ooh. You know, that's not clear to myself.
Yeah. When did you start working for Lockheed?
You know, I can't remember.
But you were still living in Titusville when you started working for Lockheed,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. We were still in aerospace, yeah.
Yeah. And what was your job with Lockheed?
With who?
Lockheed? What was your job?
Safety engineer. That's what I was doing then. Worked as a safety engineer because I had my degree from Auburn, and I went into safety engineering.
And what did that entail? What did you do as safety engineer?
As a safety engineer,
Yeah.
Well, you would analyze job descriptions and make sure that you were doing it safely.
Okay.
If you wasn't doing it safely, how could you do it safer?
Mhm.
As a safety engineer, that's the main goal, is to make sure you don't have accidents
Mhm.
or minimize any accidents that you might have.
Now, when you were working in aerospace, that was back when they had Saturns, right?
Yeah, Saturn V. Yeah, back when early days actually.
Did you ever get to go inside them?
Huh?
Did you ever get to go inside them?
Oh, in the space.
Yeah.
I didn't go out in space, but I did.
No.
Yeah, I worked with spacecraft. I'd go inside. I did a lot of radioactivity work. We had the promethium switch tips on the lunar modules back then that would light up, so the astronauts could see the buttons what to push. So we used promethium. It was promethium. I can't remember the exact, but they were what you call switch tips, and they glowed in the dark.
And you helped install those, or
Huh?
you helped install those, or
Yeah. We'd order them, and we had to keep radioactive, because they were radioactive. We had to keep up with dosage, so somebody didn't get overdosed with promethium. They were a tip that they were installed in the lunar module, so when it was totally dark, you could see they would glow in the dark.
Oh.
And you could
What was it like when they shot the spacecrafts
Yeah.
up? Were you close by? Did you see them go up? Did you see them launch?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. You
And
could.
what did it
We were
feel like?
living. We were living down in Titusville at that time.
Mm-hmm.
We were right across the river from the launch pad. We were about 20 miles away, maybe 20 or 25 miles from the launch pads. And when they would launch, everything would shake, rattle, and roll. Yeah, a lot of noise, and the ground would shake, vibrate. Yeah, you could feel the vibrations when the missiles were launched from Kennedy.
T-minus 15 seconds. Guidance is internal. 12, 11, 10, 9. Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3.
Were you involved with when the spacecraft caught on fire, and Grissom and White and
Oh,
the
when they
astronauts
burned?
when they burned? Because you were a safety engineer, were you involved in investigating that?
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah, because we were I was working for communications at the time. And we communicated with the spacecraft and the ground, and so yeah, we were in communications when they were burned to death. Yeah, that was pretty horrible. I was since I was a safety engineer working with RCA, and we were in the communication, we recorded all of that, and we were involved deeply in the investigations. Can't go into details, but all I can tell you is we were very much involved in when we burned them. Pretty horrible. One of the things that we discovered, of course, when all that happened, it was happening on the ground. And rather than use breathing air in the spacecraft, where air doesn't really support as much, they were using, and it wasn't us, they were using, what was it? Not breathing air, but
Pure oxygen?
Pure oxygen?
oxygen, yeah, which supported combustion.
Oh, yeah.
And they really should not have been doing that. And we had told them about that, why don't you use breathing air for those tests? And some smart ass for NASA was insistent that you use oxygen, which was a big mistake. We were right, they were wrong.
Do you remember any vacations that you and Barbara took together? Early ones.
I don't remember, I don't think we took any vacations. No, we really didn't do much. We would go see relatives, basically. Any vacation was going back to see our relatives in Pensacola. And we went to Cape, which was just a few hours drive back to the Houston area.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We lived in Kennedy, that area.
I know you probably took vacations with your kids, but we're going to talk about that this afternoon.
Oh boy, vacation with the kids. That was insane. Forget that.
Well, we might try it this afternoon. Who would you say has been the biggest influence on your life?
Oh, that's a hard one. I guess biggest influence was my band director that I had back in high school, junior high. He was probably one of that and the Filipino that was a good friend that got me into music. Probably my best.
And
San Diego Colocada.
I love that name.
What?
it's a great name.
Huh?
It's a great name.
Yeah, San Diego Colocada.
Just kind of
Filipino.
rolls off your tongue. Colacada.
Corlacala.
Filipino. That's why I have such a big heart for Filipinos. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's the lady that works for me here. She's Filipino.
Mm-hmm. You guys get along great.
Yeah.
Did he ever invite you over to his house?
Who?
San Diego.
Colacada.
Well, he ran and owned a music store. So yeah, I didn't go to his house per se. But no, I guess I did. They had a parrot. And I'd been there just to visit, short visit. But he was married to a Caucasian. And he was Filipino. And they had a parrot, and I'll always remember that parrot. Very, very brilliant parrot, I would say. It spoke very fluent English.
Well, I've been to some Filipino feasts before, and they really know how to put out a spread. It's a lot of food.
I don't recall eating over at the house.
Yeah.
But no, I don't recall that. Food wasn't that important. Friendship was.
Yeah.
That's why I say I have a big heart for Filipinos. 'Cause San Diego was very influencing me going into music. Yeah, that was great. Great friendship. Very great friendship.
When you were doing gigs at night,
Huh?
when you were doing gigs, you were playing music at night.
Yeah, oh
Yeah,
yeah, I
did Bo-
always.
Did Barbara go with you to any of the gigs,
Not really.
or did she pretty
No.
much stay at the house?
She stayed home, yeah. When you're working a job like that, you don't normally take somebody, your family with you, because you're working all the time. And there were a lot of, at the time we were living in Pensacola, and there were naval bases all over the place back then. We had Maine side and about 5 other naval bases in the Pensacola area.
Mhm.
And I used to work a lot at the different clubs. The Officers Club and the Chiefs Club and things of that nature. Because that was the best places to work.
So where were you when you met Liberace?
Where was I when I met him? Well, first time I met him, he was doing, this is years ago, before he was really anybody. He came through my hometown in Pensacola to do a show. And I was in the band and that backed him. And we just started talking and just met each other. But he was not anybody special though. That's when he was just getting started. He wasn't really a well-known celebrity back then. I was in, where was I? I think I was just getting out of college or somewhere. But it was in Pensacola. He came through there to do a show. And I was in the band that backed him.
How big a band did he have?
Lord. It was a full orchestra. Yeah, violins, 2 trumpets or 3 trumpets, a trombone player. He always brought his drummer. He would hire local musicians to play with him, but his drummer always accompanied him. He had a special drummer, which is understandable, because that's a key part of a group like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the first time I met him. I think I was just out of college, and he was coming through Pensacola.
Well, when he started out, did he have like a candelabra on the piano and
I don't remember.
like he had on his his TV
No, I
program?
don't think he did.
Oh.
No, he didn't. He didn't put on a show like you'd see it on television. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
It's an everyday kind of a show. So nothing special.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't recall him even putting a candelabra on the table. I think that was a television thing that he did all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's been so many years, my gosh.
Yeah.
That's been many years ago. I think I was just out of the Navy as a musician, or I was getting out of college. I can't, it's been that long ago.
Yeah. But that's a pretty cool story.
It's for real.
Oh, I thought you went to a party at his house.
No, the parties were basically in another setting. It wasn't at his house. They would be in another setting.
Did you go to any of those parties?
Yeah. Yeah, my office at the time was right about 2 blocks from where he lived in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
I was with RCA Government Services then. And our office was right there where his house was, about 2 blocks away. He had an automobile accident in our parking lot.
You did?
I always remember that. That's funny.
What kind of car did he drive?
Pardon?
What kind of car did he drive?
You know, I don't remember what kind of car he drove.
Did it have sequins on it?
No, no, it's like anybody else's car. But no, it wasn't anything special.
Yeah.
He wasn't a special kind of person. He was just normal like anybody else.
Mhm.
Except he got pretty famous.
Oh, yeah.
And a nice person to know. Easy to know. Very friendly.
Did you have any other brushes with celebrities?
Well, let's see. The world's greatest firefighter is another one. And I'm trying to think of his name right off hand.
Red Adair?
Yeah, it was Red Adair. That's who it was. Yeah, Red Adair.
What's that story about?
Basically, he liked to drink. He liked to party. You didn't have to go very far to find him at one of the bars. And he was a nice guy. But he liked to party. That was one of the things. Very smart. He had a crew. He had himself and about, I'm trying to think, there's about 5 or 6 guys that worked close with him. And every year he bought him a brand new automobile. I forgot what kind, but a nice brand new red car for fire.
Yeah. And his name, yeah.
Character, yeah. But all his crew got a brand new car every year that he bought from him. He was a very giving guy. He knew firefighting, let's put it that way. He was a daredevil, and he went international. You know, just one country, but he was internationally. He was the #1 firefighter for the world.
Where did you meet him?
Where did I meet him?
Where?
Where?
Yeah.
Hard to say. Usually at a restaurant. He'd be out drinking.
But was it in Texas? Or,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, he lived in Houston area. He had a house in the same neighborhood I did.
Okay.
Yeah, he was just a normal, fun-loving guy. Yeah, it's hard to remember a lot of the details.
Mm-hmm.
A lot has gone under that bridge. Over the bridge. I'd say under the bridge. It was underwater.
A lot of water under the bridge or water over the dam, I guess, one or the other.
You drowned in it anyway. Too much has happened in my lifetime to remember all the details. Too much has passed me by. The older you get, the less you know.
Well, I'll tell you.
The less you remember. Hello, testing, 1, 2, 3. This is Bo speaking. Is anybody listening?
You do have an audience.
You got an audience today.
We're going to talk about the kids.
We're going to talk about my kids.
Yes. When they were born and what they were
I
like.
don't know when they were born, they were hatched.
But we're rolling, so whenever you want to take it and
I don't
go.
know. What am I supposed
Start
to say?
Start
me.
with the first.
Start with
First born.
Colleen.
Yeah, where was I born?
When were you born?
Where?
Where? Titusville.
Pensacola.
You were born in Pensacola. That's right. Yeah,
That's
the hospital.
Uh-huh. I hope so. In Pensacola, and July 5th, 1960.
Okay.
No. And
July the 5th, that's right, you waited. You didn't want to be a 4th of July baby.
you remember anything about moving me to Titusville? Or what do you remember about me when I was a baby? Anything? Or have you lost that lovely memory?
Well, you were a good kid.
Yeah?
You were teacher's pet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Daddy took good care of you.
You did.
And don't get the mic up too close to you. Go ahead.
That's good.
If I lie, it might bite me.
Yeah.
No, Colleen was a good little baby.
Mhm.
She was a good girl. She may put poo all over the walls one day.
I think that was Rachel.
Was that Rachel?
I think so.
See, she blames Rachel for
I know.
all these things.
Rachel, if you listen to this, and it's
Rachel.
not you, I'm sorry.
Rachel?
Rachel.
Colleen's
So
talking about you.
then Rachel was born in Winter Haven, I believe. A few years after me.
Yeah, I think so.
So we moved to Winter Haven after Pensacola. And didn't,
It was.
and moved to Winter Haven, and then I think Rachel was born in Winter Haven,
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
1963.
when I
Yeah. And then we
I
must
can't
have moved,
remember all that.
yeah, we must have moved to Titusville. And then Robbie was born 11 years after me
Yeah,
in Titusville.
yes. Yeah, we figured we would bite the bullet and try again, see if we got anything better.
Yeah.
We didn't, we got Robbie.
So you remember anything about us?
I
Anything that
remember when
stands out?
I remember when you had to wear a cast on your leg.
Oh,
Boy, that scared you to death.
I think I had it on both of my feet, didn't I?
Yeah, you had the legs were
My feet rolled in.
yeah, and they had to put casts on you. You had to wear a cast, and you cried.
I'm sure I
You were
did.
scared to death that they were going to cut your leg off.
Was I? Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that.
Could you lower your microphone just a little? I don't see your face.
Oh, that's
No,
why.
you don't want to see my face.
Yeah.
That would make you sick.
What else you want to
Okay.
say about your kids?
What?
What else you want to say
Oh,
about
my
us
kids was just perfect.
I'll bet each one had a special personality.
No, they all came the same way. Bad.
We're gonna.
They picked on Daddy all the time. That's what they did.
No, that was Mom.
That was Mom? You picked on Mom?
No, you. Mom picked on you. I'm kidding.
We went,
So what do you remember? Anything about Robbie? Do you remember any? What's your
You know.
What's your biggest memory about Rachel? Recent or old?
What?
Rachel. What do you
about-
think of when you think of Rachel? What do you think of when you think of your daughter Rachel?
I don't know. Can't remember that far back, Colleen.
Well, just recently.
Too far recently. Going on her cruises and going to the Veterans Administration and helping all the veterans. She does a lot of work with Veterans
Yeah.
Association.
Yeah.
so tell us about those vacations.
Huh?
Tell us about the vacations together.
She takes cruises.
No, I mean when you had the 3 kids at home. What were some of the first vacations that you took when the whole family was together?
I don't
You
really.
know,
I think we went down. I think for one vacation we took, we went down to the Keys.
yeah, I vaguely remember that.
Yeah, vaguely.
Yeah.
We went down to the Keys, and it was so hot and so crappy down there. We turned right around and headed back to Florida.
Wow.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
But we didn't do a whole lot except go visit relatives.
Most of our vacations were going to
Our
see
vacations
grandparents.
were visiting
Yeah,
relatives.
that's all I remember together.
Yeah, going up. Well,
We didn't take any trips together.
no,
except for going to see Grandma and Grandpa and Grandma.
Yeah, that was basically it, Grandma and Grandpa.
Yep.
We were good to them, and they were good to us.
Where do they live?
They lived in Pensacola,
In
Florida.
Pensacola.
Yeah.
So, how long of a trip would that be then? Where were you?
About 4 hours, 2 or 3 hours,
Oh,
wouldn't it?
It was about 8 hours, I think.
Was it?
I know it was 8 hours from Houston.
No, I'm talking about when we.
From Central Florida, was it only
Yeah,
about,
when we were
maybe about
Titusville.
4 hours, yeah.
About a 4-hour trip.
Yeah.
3 to 4 hour trip.
Yep. You pile in the car and go see the grandparents.
That's right. We always believed in visiting. And my mother, because my dad was already dead, so we visit Mom too.
so did you try to teach them some music?
What?
Did you try to teach some music to your kids?
Did I try?
Yeah, or did you?
I don't know. She wasn't musically inclined. She could play the radio. Colleen knew how to play the radio. Rachel was a musician,
Okay.
and still a musician.
And Robbie?
And Robbie, I don't know what he is. Balloon boy.
He liked to play. He went to the high school for the performing and visual
Yes,
arts.
he did.
And what did he played
Keyboards.
keyboard. And he did a very good, played jazz
Yeah,
keyboard, didn't he?
yeah, he played. There were a bunch of musicians, good musicians.
You guys would take, you and Mom would take him to the clubs before he was
Yeah.
old enough to go.
Our son would go to the nightclubs with us, and at the end of the gig, he'd go up and get a keyboard lesson from the musician. They would always make time for Robbie. So after they finished with a gig, Robbie would go up and they'd give him some pointers on how to play keyboards.
How old was he then?
About 15 years old, I'd say.
Mhm.
About 15.
High school age.
He was lucky. He went to the High School of Performing Visual Arts, and they had a professor there, jazz professor, who really worked with Robbie,
Mm-hmm.
taught him a lot. That's how he got into the school. The jazz guy, you had to go in and audition. And Robbie got an audition with this doctor. Oh, I'm trying to think his name. Can't remember. It slips me right now, but he was a doctor, PhD of jazz music, and he took Robbie under his wing and taught him a lot about music.
Mm-hmm.
That's been years ago.
Did you put all of your kids through college?
Did all of them go to
Did
college?
you? Yeah.
College, Rachel college, Robbie high school of performing arts. He didn't go to college.
And then he went into the Army, I believe, after high school.
yeah, he
didn't he?
joined the Army.
Oh, he didn't join the Navy.
Right out of high school. He joined the Army. He's still in the Army. He's in the Army Reserves.
But he joined the Army because
Right
he
out of
wanted to
high
go to New York City eventually. I think
That's
that's why
right.
he joined the Army, so he could get into, he could go to the big city and learn more about music and play music.
Yeah.
Rachel joined the Army too.
And Rachel joined the Army after she
Well-
went. Rachel went and got her master's, I think. Didn't she get a master's or
Oh,
something?
she's got several doctorate degrees now.
Does she?
She's either got 2 or 3 doctorate degrees.
All about music.
Yeah, with music.
And she's very good What does she play?
Clarinet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she
Very-
played that in the Army. The
Yeah.
big Army band, didn't she?
Right. West Point.
Yeah. Very good musician.
Yeah. She put in her 35 years. Put in 35 years at West Point with the West Point Orchestra
Hmm.
band. My husband did the same thing. He was at West Point. So both of them got, when they got married, they both have about 100 years of Army behind them.
Did they meet in the Army, Dad? Do you know? Did
I was a
meet?
Navy musician.
You were Navy. Did you know if Rachel met Carmine in the Army?
Yeah, they met
They
at
met
West
in the
Point.
West Point. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where they met. He was born and raised right there at West Point. His parents lived there, right next to West Point.
We got some stories about Colleen.
Colene's, they're X-rated. Colene's X-rated. No, Colleen was a hard worker and is still a hard worker. That's what she knows.
Okay.
She was smart. Well, it's pretty sad because if I was really smart, I would have been retired like my younger brother and younger sister. Well, they're smart. They retired early,
Yeah,
before they were 50 years old.
yeah.
I'm still working.
See, you could have joined the
I
army.
could have.
You should have joined the army, but you screwed up, Colleen.
You have any stories that come to mind about Robbie?
Huh?
Any good stories about Robbie? What does Robbie do right now?
Chase women.
That's true.
Yeah, he chases women. He's a woman chaser. Bobby's pretty smart. He never catches them.
He never lets them catch him.
Huh?
He never lets them catch him.
That's true too, yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
So there are no stories involving the police.
The what? The police. The
police.
police.
I'm just
There's
kidding.
no stories involving the police and the kids.
Yeah, he was a policeman.
Oh, he was a.
Yeah, Robbie put 45 years with the New York Police Department and retired from NYPD, as well as Army. He's got 30-something, 50 years in the Army now.
Something that's not
He's
adding
still
up.
in the Army Reserves. All my kids work for a living. All of them work.
Yeah.
They earn their own way.
Yeah.
Bobby didn't want to go to college, and I don't force my kids to go to college.
Mhm.
Did I?
No, you did.
Just took a stick and beat you if you didn't
That's
go.
right.
Not really.
No,
No,
you didn't. You
you
didn't.
made your choice.
That's right.
Rachel made her choice. Robbie, Balloon Boy, made his choice.
What does Robbie do right now with his balloons? He travels.
Yeah, he travels international. He does very well. Very innovative. Probably made more money than any of us will ever make. He's pretty smart. He's got his canoe.
Yeah, what has he got?
Huh?
What he got a canoe?
Got a canoe.
Yeah.
That's his yacht.
Yeah. He bought a boat, didn't he?
Yeah, he bought him a yacht. Not a boat, a yacht.
Yeah, a yacht.
A yacht. Beautiful yacht.
That's still down in Houston.
Yeah. He might get it fixed someday.
Yeah.
He likes that. That's fun for him. But it ain't fun, he ain't gonna do it.
That's true. That's true.
So how many grandkids do you have?
Just the two, isn't it? Two boys. No?
Boy.
Oh.
Boy and a girl.
Huh?
A boy and a girl. You got Megan
Oh, Megan. Yeah,
and
Megan.
Patrick.
See, I didn't see them enough to know.
Yeah, we didn't. You didn't see Rachel's kids a whole lot.
No, I didn't.
They were in New York and we were in Houston.
Yeah,
But they both done very well. Megan's
yeah,
a great
made a
kid.
good living.
And Patrick's doing well. They're both great, grew up to
All
be
the-
good people.
Grandkids, everybody's doing great. Couldn't be better.
And that's the only two grandkids he's got.
They all learned their way.
They do.
Yeah, everybody earned. Nobody gave me anything.
Yep.
Maybe a hard time.
Mm-hmm.
I would imagine Jamie's kids think of you as grandpa too, right?
Jamie's got good. You looked up and got good kids. Miss Jamie. Didn't you?
Yes, I did.
You taught them how to do things, and they were smart. and they all smart.
Yeah, and we all had a good time.
Yeah,
We had a lot of good times. A lot of good times at the house on Grafton
yeah.
and with little Matthew.
And they were my
Matt and Sarah and little
all those
Matthew.
were like my grandkids.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I watched them grow up.
Used to dress up in funny clothes, and remember your mom and with a cane and come marching out to some music, and then at the house on Grafton, up and down the stairs, little Matthew.
Oh, he was funny. He was a cute little kid, wasn't he?
Yeah,
Marvelous.
yeah,
Still is marvelous.
he's a good guy.
All of them turned out great.
Every one of the kids turned out good. You know.
And on my side too.
Well,
all of
I
them.
mean that.
We
Yeah.
did something right with our kids, didn't we, Jane?
Everything. Yeah.
Really did.
You and me, Papa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did something right. Very responsible young adults.
Yeah. I remember when Matt lived by the ballpark in that loft.
Oh
and
yeah.
You and
yeah.
Barbara would see him
Oh.
once in a while at one of the games, and he'd have you guys come up for a drink.
Yeah, that was nice. And walk to the ballpark. That was nice. That was a nice apartment. He had an apartment. Or was it that an apartment or was it a condo?
It was an apartment, but they call them lofts because they were in old buildings and they've been made into apartments. Yeah.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun there.
Oh my gosh,
Had
yeah.
some good parties.
We had some good parties on Grafton. Remember we had a party for you for your 70th birthday, and we had that band in the backyard.
Yeah.
Who was that? Those guys that you knew.
That was a good group. Good jazz group.
Mm-hmm. Remember they played in the backyard?
Yeah.
And the blizzards came, and I don't know who else.
I think a lot of the neighbors came up to
Yeah.
Jamie's house
Yeah.
from down where you live.
Yeah. Yeah.
The
The
blizzards came over.
Blizzards came over. I think who else? But the drummer was a good friend, still a good friend of
Yeah.
mine.
Yeah. Yeah. Some good times. You guys came over for some Christmases and Thanksgivings and
Yeah.
Easters.
We had a lot of fun.
Oh God, we had fun.
It was great times. Everybody contributed too.
Mm-hmm.
So, what kind of advice would you give?
What
The
kind of what?
Advice would you give the
What
young?
kind of advice?
Yes,
I wouldn't change anything.
you wouldn't change anything. Okay.
That's the advice I give. We did well and enjoyed life. Had a lot of fun doing it.
Like advice to the kids.
Yeah. Well, if you give some advice to the kids, what would you say?
Give them some advice.
Yeah.
I don't think they learn themselves. We didn't tell them what to do.
No, you were just telling me when I was up here before they came in, you were saying you need to live every day and do your thing
Oh yeah, yeah.
because you never know.
How many more days you're
days you
gonna
have.
be here?
Yeah. You said you need to enjoy every day. That's what you were just telling me.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah. So,
Well, that's not bad. That sounds pretty good to me.
Oh, that's good advice. Live each day as you have it, because you might not have tomorrow.
Well, you and Barbara did that too. I mean, you guys went to basketball games, you went to the opera, you went
Yeah,
to the
while we were-
ballet, you went to the jazz
Yeah,
clubs.
while we were able.
Yeah.
Now we're not able, but we still do things with moderation, or less.
yeah, you drove a lot into Houston. You and Mom.
Oh, yeah, we used to. Yeah, we lived in Houston
And you used to drive into town to listen
constantly.
to the basketball game, the jazz clubs,
Uh-huh.
a lot. You
Yes,
like
we
that?
did a lot.
You did.
And we did it while we could, because now I don't drive.
Mhm.
Mom drives in the neighborhood,
Mhm.
but not downtown.
Mhm.
Not capable.
Yeah.
Well, we've been very good. We've been very fortunate. Now it's time to sit back and enjoy our sedentary. Is that what that is?
Yeah.
Sedentary
Your sedentary years.
years.
There you go. Yep. You earned it, Pop.
I don't know if I earned it.
Well, I think
I
you-
got it.
You got it. You earned it. Yeah. You worked hard to, and Mom took on some extra jobs. You guys worked hard to
Yeah.
get us all.
Always had one or two jobs at all times.
Yep.
If it wasn't music, it was something else.
That's for sure.
It's so funny that Mom's little piano boy is now the #1 guy over all of NASA. Did you know that? He played. Mom had this astronaut that she taught piano, and now he is over all of NASA, #1.
Wow.
He's
That's
a
cool.
big guy,
Yeah.
nice man.
Cool.
And Mom used to teach him piano. I
Wow.
always remember that.
That's cool.
Yeah, good man,
Yeah. Yeah.
good person.
I'll have to ask Mom about that.
Huh?
We'll have to ask Mom about that if she knows.
Yeah,
She
she
knows-
knows
she
what
knows
he's
what
doing. I told Mom, I said, I can't remember his name, but,
Yeah. Yeah.
but he is in charge of NASA, all
Cool.
of NASA.
Well, Uncle Herman used to do some kind of vaudeville kind of slapstick stuff, didn't he?
Yeah, he did vaudeville.
Yeah.
And then he had the Bells and Bows that he
Yeah.
and Mom
Yeah.
took over and
Yeah.
ran the Bells and Bows. That was a little different from vaudeville,
Yeah.
but it was similar. It was
Yeah.
impromptu with the Bells and the Bows doing
Dancing and singing, right?
dancing and singing.
Mm-hmm.
That's all they did.
Yeah. Cool.
But now vaudeville was a little. You can't get away with vaudeville today.
Well,
the blackface.
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
And rightly
The
so.
black-
And rightly so. Some of that needed to change. You know, it was acceptable back then, but that wasn't the right thing.
Now
Yeah.
it's different.
Yeah. And it should be. It should be different.
Yeah,
You know.
the world changes. They were going to do a show of Hells a Poppin'. There was a thing that was on. I don't know, remember that much about it, but they call it Hells a Poppin'.
Hell's a poppin'.
Hell,
Is a poppin', yeah.
H-E-L, a poppin'.
Mm-hmm.
Where he would ride a hunk of ice, big, sitting on ice, and slide him on the stage. And they did that, and they made a mistake, and they couldn't stop it, and they went down into the orchestra pit. It's one that didn't get killed.
That was Uncle Herman?
Uncle Herman, yeah, was riding this.
Is that where you get your butt
onto the
skiing from,
stage,
Carl?
and it kept going
I think
and
so.
went to the orchestra pit.
I think
Well, they
so.
wasn't killed.
Oh my God, that's
Yeah, that was Uncle Herman.
There's an entrance.
What an entrance that was.
Yeah. And an exit. I think you were a lot like Herman. You were a mischievous boy, from what you told me.
Yeah.
You got your share of mischief.
Oh, absolutely.
Didn't one time you get into some chocolate? You thought it was chocolate?
It was X-Lax.
Uh-huh.
Mom was wondering why I was sitting on the toilet so much there for a while. I thought I had chocolate and it was X-Lax. Oh, life is funny.
Probably wasn't funny at the time, huh?
No, it wasn't funny at the time.
Yeah, I remember that. Shoot.
Real life is funnier than made up stuff.
Any last words for the videotape?
The last word. That's all, folks. As Bugs Bunny would put it.
That's good.
It's a wrap.
It's a wrap.
Always believe in Bugs Bunny.
Of course.
And the Three Stooges.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We've been very, very fortunate to know some of the people that we've known in our life.